Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's 4 o'clock in Los Angeles. It's 6 o'clock in Chicago. And it's 7 p.m. in New York City. Hello, everybody. Mad Dog the Scipio for What's the Buzz America's Popcast. We're not used to seeing you on a Friday night. Amelia, it's Friday. How about this stuff?
Wow, right?
It's a Friday. We're not used to being here on Friday, but we have a very, very special guest. He will be joining us shortly. We actually had him here a moment ago. John Whitaker. You remember him as little Johnny Whitaker from Family Affair and Sigmund and the Sea Monster and a whole bunch of other film credits that you will see roll across the bottom of your screen throughout the show tonight. So while we're waiting for John to rejoin us, Amelia, how are you today? What's up with the pit bull?
That's doing good. It was a weird day today. It's actually raining again in Florida. Can you believe it?
I can, because it deluged here.
Oh my gosh. We had the biggest lightning. It was so scary. I was telling my son Joseph, do not touch anything metal in the car. Because the biggest lightning, because you don't want to touch. Because I don't know if you know, but Florida is the biggest lightning capital of the world.
Oh yeah, I know.
And so you can catch the prettiest lightning pictures if you catch it just right.
Yeah,
but the best ones to do is by the water, because there's so many trees here. It's hard to catch any good pictures here.
Yeah, it's been bizarre here today. It was a strange weather day. It really was.
It's been a weird couple of days.
It was chilly. We had all 4 seasons in one day today.
Wow.
It was freezing this morning. It was hot late morning, and then it turned black, and it deluged and was windy. It felt like it was going to snow. And then right after that, the sun came out, and it's 90 degrees now.
Wow. Where is it that you just normally go on vacation? I saw the dark clouds.
What's a vacation?
Well, normally you and the family go on vacation. I saw like this dark cloud. It was so dark. I was like, what in the world happened there?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. It's been odd. The weather's been really strange. I don't know what's going on across the country, but the National Guard is in 46 states right now. There's John Whitaker.
Oh, you know what? It's using my other. Just a second here.
Oh, take your time, my friend. Take your time.
I had the camera off.
Okay.
It decided to use a different camera. I like the other camera better, but anyway, you're in my office. There's my bedroom. And
well, I introduced everybody to John. Told everybody who you are, that you're here tonight. Let me officially welcome you. Welcome to What's the Buzz Podcast.
Yes, welcome.
Podcast.
Thank you very much.
You are quite welcome, my friend. Well, love and have you here. It really is. It's great to have you. Just telling Amelia, it's been kind of strange weather. What's the weather doing in California right now?
Well, in June, in California, we always have what's called June gloom.
Oh, there you go.
So it's always kind of foggy, but today it's sunny and bright and beautiful.
Wow.
Oh, we probably need to go over there where he's at.
Right? Let me tell everybody who John Whitaker is. Let me get my. I wrote a wonderful intro for you, and I want to read it to you. I spent 3 days writing this intro.
Oh, good.
I did. It took me 3 days to write an
Yes, he
appropriate
did.
intro. You know? So here we go. Amelia,
Yes.
you know me when I start something, right?
Yes, he does. He takes his time to perfect
It
everything.
has to be right. Absolutely. Let me tell everybody about John Whitaker. By the age of 9, Johnny Whitaker was a veteran of television and an established film star. Johnny was riding the crest of the Hollywood rave until something tragic happened. He turned 18 and became wealthy in a hurry. And that, my friends, was when life got real for John Whitaker. Too much time and too much money is the death knell of most child stars, but not Johnny Whitaker. He survived child stardom due to largely to really good upbringing and great parents. Having overcome adversity, personal and professional trials and tribulations, Johnny Whitaker found the redemption in the same people who watched him grow up on TV and in the movies. And, ladies and gentlemen, he lived to tell the story. And he is my very special guest on this special weekend edition of What's the Buzz? America's Best Popcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Johnny Whitaker.
Yes.
Thank
How
you
are
so
you,
much.
John? You know what? That intro alone deserves this. Amelia, what do you
Yes.
say?
Absolutely. Yes.
There you go.
Perfect.
Look, anytime I get a chance to play our applause button, I use it.
Yes, he does. Every chance he does. Yes.
So anyway, welcome, my friend. Welcome to the show. It took some doing to get you here. I got news for you. I reached out to a few people. Finally got a contact on you. You and I have a couple of mutual real life friends. Jeffrey Mark being one of them.
Yes.
Yeah, Jeffrey's a great guy. He's been on the. How many times has he been here, Amelia? Like
At
5
least
times.
5 times. Yes. At least
Yeah,
5 times.
Jeffrey's been here 5 times, and he loves to sing and tell stories and of old Hollywood. And you know what? I love that kind of stuff. You're a guy, John, who, as I said in the intro, you survived Hollywood stardom when so many of your counterparts at the time did not, including someone who was very, very close to you, not only off camera, but on camera, Nisa Jones. Sad story about that young lady. Bad friends, bad situations, bad timing. Everything worked against her, but you were very fortunate that you had an incredible support system to fall onto. Did you at any point during that 17, 18-year-old, troublesome age for most people, did you have any temptations to go the route of the alcohol, drugs, and other abuses?
Not at that time.
Okay.
I had just finished. Well, Family Affair ended in 1971.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did 5 Walt Disney movies back to back. 5. And then I did Tom Sawyer, for which we are the 50th anniversary this year.
Yes, I actually want to talk about that later in the show.
Sure. And then I didn't take much of a break, but I got contracted to do Sigmund and the Sea Monsters for the next 3 years. And then that was 73, 74, 75. And then in 1976, my younger brother and sisters, we did the Johnny Whitaker Show, which was a family variety show for the 200th celebration, the bicentennial celebration of the United States.
Yeah.
And we went throughout the Western United States singing and dancing. And that's when I was in Salt Lake City. And the night before was a Sunday night.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And we were giving in the Mormon LDS Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Church, of which we are members. They asked us to do a little what's like a seminar or what we call a fireside.
Right.
And afterwards we have like a question and answer period. And someone in the congregation there said, well, we just heard that Buffy died. Is that true? Now, they had heard something on the news or whatever that I had no idea. And I said, no, I don't believe that to be true, but, I don't know. I have been busy working for the last couple months. I haven't, been finding out what's on the news. The next morning, I woke up and Rona Barrett on Good Morning America had made the announcement that 18-year-old Buffy, Mary Anissa Jones, had died of a drug overdose in Oceanside, California.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Immediately, I mean, she was a sister. We hadn't had close contact for well over 3 years. Don't know exactly when it was that we were last together before that.
Mm-hmm.
But I immediately called Les Kaufman, who was the publicity director for Don Feddersen Productions.
Sure.
And his secretary patched me in somehow to him, and he was at Paula Jones, Anissa's mother's home.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, I just said, whatever the family may need, I'm here and would love to just let them know that my prayers and wishes and thoughts are with you.
Yeah.
And he said that they were going to have a very small memorial service, and I don't know how many people were invited. I was not invited, but she loved the beach. They lived right off of the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe that they went out and put her ashes to sea.
Yeah.
But
it's a strange situation, is it not? Here you are. You work with this young woman. You grew up together on television, the both of you. The relationship you have. See, people don't understand this. When you're watching a show, you naturally assume that these people know each other and they hang out and they're friends and all this other stuff. A lot of times, in most cases, that's not the case. They go their way, they go home, you go home, you see each other. It's a job, you go to work. Your relationship with your television sister, was it a close one, or did you just work with her and she went her way? Explain to me, John, the dynamics here.
We were family affair, or what a lot of people call it, the Buffy and Jody show.
Exactly. Exactly.
The second season, I believe it was called Princess Gowns and Princess Clothing, had come to Anissa and her management and said, we'd like to make Buffy clothes.
Right.
And that got around, and a group out of St. Louis, Elder Manufacturing Company, got a hold of my management team and said that, and they had a line of clothing called, they had an adult line and then a young people's line. And then they had a children's line, and the children's line they called Tom Sawyer.
Right.
And so they said, we'd like to make clothes for Johnny to wear on the show. And of course, they had to make 3 of everything, because that's what you do for television.
Absolutely. Of course.
In case the kids spill something or, it gets torn.
Sure.
And the way in which we did Family Affair was, Fred McMurray would not do My 3 Sons unless he only had to work for 3 months out of the year.
Yeah.
Well, you can't do a 27 episode season of a series
in 3
working
months.
anything less than about 9 months.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So they made it so that he would come in for the 3 months. They would do all of his scenes, and then the other 6 months they do all the scenes that everybody else was in.
Sure.
So that's the way they got Brian Keith to do Family Affair.
Right.
So we would see Brian on, those 3 months, and then there'd be 6 months we wouldn't see him.
Sure.
But,
well, if you remember, John, Uncle Bill was always going off somewhere. And and that's how they did it.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No, that's quite all right. It's been a long day for you, kid.
Yes.
No, it has. Well, yeah, I'm in the pre-production of a short film that I've written. We'll talk about later, but
sure, absolutely.
I had to finish the notes that I was getting for our Zoom meeting, and I didn't finish them till 2:30, and then I had to get up at 8 and try to take a little nap, but it didn't work. So now it's starting to catch up with me. But after I eat, I think I'm going to go right back. I'm going to go right to bed.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well,
but anyway,
thank you for joining us. I appreciate
Oh,
it.
absolutely.
Yes,
no,
you.
we've been talking about it, and I promised, and I'm here. But Family Affair was originally set for a 16-year-old girl, a 10-year-old brother, and a 6-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm.
My agent, Mary Grady, who, bless her heart, just passed away about 2 years ago at the age of 94.
Wow, bless her.
She was like my godmother.
Mm-hmm.
Her son was Don Grady from My 3 Sons. And her daughter was Lonnie O'Grady.
Yeah.
Who was in 8 is Enough as the oldest daughter.
Wow.
And so, I mean, she has her own background, but she was my agent all throughout my childhood and teen years. But I had just completed The Russians Are Coming, The Russians Are Coming.
Sure.
And Brian Keith and I hit it off really well. And he would always come to my little motel room, knock on the door and said, "Can Johnny Whitaker come out to play?"
Oh.
Because I couldn't say my hours. The wed wobbin quasses the woad.
Oh.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I guess he was wanting to know what it was like to have a little boy. He had 2 girls with his first wife. And anyway, so here I am doing this film with some great stars. I mean, Theodore Backel, Brian Keith. We had, come on, brain. Jonathan Winters and Carl Reiner.
Heavy duty.
Yeah.
Wow,
And
that's top shelf.
yes. Anyway, so I played a little boy who stopped the Russian-American War.
Yes, I know the
And
film.
so at the end of the film, I fall off the steeple, and all of the men in the town make a human ladder to make sure that I would get out and off of that steeple.
Yeah.
But Brian and I had become friends during the 3 or 4 weeks there in Fort Bragg, Northern California.
Sure, absolutely.
And so he told my mother, and then subsequently my agent, Mary Grady, that he wanted me to play some role, like a reoccurring neighbor role, in his upcoming series. So my agent finagled it so that I could come into the screen test of the 10-year-old boys. And so I came into the screen test, and I was the only 5-year-old boy, 6-year-old boy.
Yeah.
And they matched me up with Pamela Ferdin. I don't know if you've heard of her.
I know who she is, sure.
Yes, she was the voice for Lucy for many years.
Yeah.
And she was also on The Odd Couple as Tony Randall's daughter.
Yep.
And a couple of other young ladies, and then Anissa Jones. And when Anissa and I were on screen, the producer said, "Stop the presses. We're going to change it from a 6-year-old and a 10-year-old to 6-year-old twins."
Yep.
Anissa was almost 8 at the time.
I was going to ask you about that, because one of the questions, it's funny, went right where I was going to go. One of the questions I was going to ask you is, I know that the production wasn't supposed to be twins. I was going to ask you, when was the decision made to have Buffy and Jody be twins? Because I know that wasn't the original game plan. And I heard that they went through 3 or 4 different incarnations of that.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure of that history. All I remember is being on the set and not having any other boys my age.
Yeah.
Usually, I had been working since I was almost 4.
Sure.
So I was, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, and now I'm 6.
Yeah.
All of that time, whenever I would go into an audition, there would always be a certain group of boys that were my age.
Sure.
And, you got to know each other, and, hey, what's up? What did you do? How was
you
your
all
summer?
showed up for the same auditions everywhere.
All the time. All the time.
Yeah.
So I'm there, and I'm the only 6-year-old boy.
Yeah.
So I'm a little uncomfortable, but, okay, just read the lines, do the job.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the rest is, as they say, history.
So they tell me, let's talk about history, John. Let's talk about history. They tell me that, like Elvis Presley, you were discovered in church.
Absolutely.
So what's this about you being able to sing, choirs, and ad-libbing? What's this about you kind of like ad-libbing off the cuff?
Well, my mother was
a legendary show business. I want to set this up for people.
Right.
You want to know how things happen in Hollywood. It's all
go to church.
timing. Go to church, okay? Because there's always going to be either an agent, a manager, or a scout in church. So who was it that was listening to you sing in church?
Well, my mother was the children's choir director that year. And it was October of 1963. And a 5-year-old girl was supposed to sing my role, and my sisters were going to help her sing the chorus to this new song, I Am a Child of God. And so my sisters and this little girl had rehearsed. And when she couldn't rehearse, I was there, and I kind of took her place, not as an understudy, but just because they needed somebody to sing so my sisters could practice.
Yeah.
While my mother played the piano. Anyway, so the night before, the young lady who's supposed to sing gets the chicken pox.
Oh
wow.
She can't come up and my mother thought, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? And my older sister, Sherry, said, well, Mom, Johnny knows the words. He can sing it. And she was, but he's only 3.5, almost 4, but just a little thing. Well, we practiced, and in rehearsal, I did a beautiful job. Everything was great. We get up, and of course, if you've been in a congregation for the young people's choir performance day, all the congregants are sitting down, and all the children are up on the dais or on the pulpit and waving at mommy and daddy. And, I'm sure I was waving at my mommy and daddy. And there I was. And the song came up, and the sister who was playing the piano for us played it. And I am a child of God, and he has sent me here, has given me an earthly home with parents kind and dear. Then my sisters joined in. Lead me, guide me, walk beside me, help me find the way. Teach me all that I must do to live with him someday. And then she played the intro to the second verse. And I started singing, I am a child of God. And I forgot the words to the song, but she's playing along, and I'm singing my song, so I better just fake it through. So she played again, I am a child of God, and he has sent me here. And I am such a real good boy. I'll always be of good cheer. And my sisters were elbowing me. And, that's not the right words. And I was like, leave it alone. People are watching us. Look out at the audience. Just smile.
Oh, my God. That's hilarious.
Just keep on singing. Go on with the show.
And so my sisters then went ahead. Lead me, guide me, walk beside me. And then the third verse, we got just fine. In the congregation, actually, the Osmonds were in the congregation.
Oh, wow.
Oh, good Lord.
The Osmond family, they were
all
living,
96 of them.
Yeah. Well, at the time, there was the 8 boys and Marie. So
bless your heart.
Anyway, they were in the congregation, but it was not anybody from the Osmond family. There was another member of the congregation, and her son had done some commercials.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose her agent was looking for new talent or whatever, but just said at 3.5 years old, he was able to get through and just be professional in a church performance. He's got it. So my mother and father being, we're now 5 children with a baby on the way, or maybe she was just born.
Mm-hmm.
I got to remember. I'm writing my memoirs, by the way.
Oh,
okay.
So it's all in there. But when I'm not exactly sure. I'd have to look back and remember when my sister Mary was born. It was 63 or 64. Because if it was, well, she just turned, so it was 63. So she was just born because she just celebrated her 60th birthday. No,
okay.
62. Okay, so she was just an infant.
Okay.
Because we had her celebration in Cancun, Mexico, my sister Mary.
Beautiful.
And anyway, so the next day, that was Sunday, so Monday or Tuesday, my mother makes sure there's somebody to babysit the other kids while she and I go to meet this agent, and she falls in love with me. And actually, my first agent was Ken Osmond's mother.
Sure.
Ken Osmond.
For those people who are too young to know, Ken Osmond played a character on Leave It to Beaver called Eddie Haskell.
Exactly.
See, I'm old. I know.
You got it. So, but I went to meet with her. She sent my mother and I on an audition that very hour.
Wow.
And I got my first job. And then I started.
I got a question about that. Because here's the thing. You know, at a certain age, you can decide for yourself whether you want to act or not, or whether you want to be a part of this kooky business. So you're 3.5, 4 years old at this point in time. You know, just a young child. Let's put it that way, right? So you're really like kind of like, you know,
oblivious.
You know, I wouldn't say, you know, kind of open to what's happening, but you're not really having a choice. These people are making the decision essentially for you. But at some point, you either like what you're doing or you don't. When did the "I really like this" kick in?
That is a very good question.
I pride myself. Thank you.
But I don't know if I can give you an answer, actually.
That's fair enough. And I've actually, and I'll tell you why I asked that, John. We've had a lot of actors and actresses on the show, people in the entertainment business, everybody from, you know, character actors to stars to directors and everyone in between. The one thing that I always ask someone that was a child actor is, when did the "I want to do this, I really like this" kick in? And most of them can't tell me. So what you're saying confirms 99% of everything I've already heard. They don't know either, John. They just know that at some point this became their normal. This became their normal. This kooky, crazy way of life, you know, not going to work, but working, you know, making money.
Right. Well, I have always been, well, you know that I work in the mental health field as a drug and alcohol counselor.
Yeah, we're actually going to talk about that quite a bit.
But because we're at that point right now, one of the things that I have studied and been a life participant in is the fact that child actors or children who work at an early age, they kind of are forced into a situation that may or may not be comfortable for them.
Yeah.
For me, I loved it. You know, it was, I liked the accolades. I liked people, fawning on me. And for that reason, I hold on just a second. I'm looking for something.
While he's doing that, I guess we could go ahead and do our break.
Well, yeah, you know what, John? I'm actually up against a hard break right now. Why don't we do this? Let's take a word from our sponsor, and we'll come back. We'll come right back with you. Okay? How about that?
Sounds great.
Let's do that.
Jess wanted to start a business when something surprising happened.
Today, I'm going to teach you how to crochet.
She started crocheting, like a lot. And her friends noticed.
Jess, you need to sell those.
So she signed up for Shopify and started building her business.
Yes, I love that.
And after a lot of hard work, this happened.
Oh my gosh, I just made my first sale!
You see, every day, hundreds of businesses get their first sale on Shopify.
We got it!
And the next could be you. So when you're ready to bring your idea to life
And become your own boss.
build it on Shopify.
Do you have sweaty balls or volleyball netty balls? It's time to make them ready balls. The Manscaped.com Lawnmower 3.0 will do the job and clean your knob with its patented no-nick head, so your head will function as desired. Enter promo code WrestlingFuture for a generous 20% discount. That's enter WrestlingFuture for a 20% discount. Manscaped.com and Wrestling with the Future, going balls to the walls with Manscaped.com. And the Lawnmower 3.0, your balls will thank you. And so will we. What's the Buzz Popcast wants to welcome Radioactive FM 88.6 in Wellington, New Zealand, Radio Perth, Australia, and RTL Radio 102.5 in Milan, Italy. Welcome aboard, and welcome to the Buzz. You are watching What's the Buzz, America's Best Popcast. I am Mad Dog, Angelo Mad Dog DeCipio, joined, as I am each and every week, by Amelia the Pitbull Chapman. Tonight, our very special guest, actor, drug and alcohol counselor, John Whitaker. How are you, John? Welcome back.
Very good, thank you. I just had to put something in the stove so that we had potatoes in my
St. Louis ribs.
St. Louis ribs.
St. Louis ribs. We're all going to John's house for dinner, by the way.
Absolutely.
Let me talk a little bit about, you are John Orson Whitaker Jr. Let's talk about John Whitaker Sr. What kind of dad, what did you have? What kind of dad was Pop?
Well, my father grew up, he was born in 1927 or 28. And right growing up in the Depression. Mm-hmm. He grew up in central Utah, where many Whitakers live. Actually, I had to do a podcast, and I thought I was going to make it to Provo from LA in time for the podcast, but I didn't. So as I was driving through Fillmore, Utah, I went into the local grocery store and I asked the young lady there, I said, "Do you know any Whitakers in town?" She goes, "I'm a Whitaker."
Oh,
and
really?
I said, "Really?" And she gave me the number to her aunt, and I called the aunt. She goes, "Oh, Johnny, I know who you are. Everybody knows who you are."
Oh,
And what can I do you for? And I said, "Well, I've got a little situation. I need a room with my computer for about an hour, and that's about, about 2 hours, and that's all I need." And she goes, "Well, come on over to our place. We'll give you a room to." So I did.
Mhm.
I finished. It was actually a Zoom class. I finished the class, and it was almost 11 o'clock. And she goes, "Well, you're not leaving here at 11 o'clock and driving anywhere." He said, "I got a room over here and you can stay." And so I got a room and a great breakfast the next morning and then left.
Wow,
But
that's beautiful.
that's when my father was born, in Kanosh and Fillmore, Utah. And then they moved to Nevada,
Right.
and were itinerant farmers, picking fruit, because that's what a man and his wife and 8 kids could do. And my grandmother was teaching them, and she had a high school diploma, or maybe even a little bit of college, but enough schooling to where she would make sure the kids got some education. Then they moved to Ellensburg, Washington, where my grandfather bought a farm, and that's where they homesteaded or stayed for most of the rest of the time. And then when grandpa retired, they moved back to Utah, and that's where he passed.
I'm always interested in knowing about the male aspect of the family. You hear these stories coming out of Hollywood. It's the mother that encouraged the child. It's the mother that participated at church. It's the mom that did a lot of the the leg work. But you very seldom hear, at least positive stories about the father, the male influence on the family.
Well, my father and mother met in northern Utah, in Logan, and they were going to Utah State University there.
Okay.
And my mother was the Delta Phi Queen that year. And my father knew my uncle, my mother's brother, and they were like fraternity brothers. And when he saw my mother in this pageant, he turned to my uncle, who didn't know that it was his sister. He says, "I'm going to marry that girl." And, he said, "Good luck. You got to get in line." But afterwards they met, fell in love, and had 2 children there in Logan. And my father graduated with a degree in industrial arts and education. And
good for him.
Came to the Los Angeles area, where he started in a brand new middle school called Pacoima Junior High School, which was Pacoima Middle School. But for 40 years plus, he never missed a day of work, was always there, 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and would leave at 3:30 when, school was over.
Sure.
But then, because he had 5 or 6 hungry mouths to feed, he started a gas station, which took him to the cleaners, unfortunately. But then he started working with the youth probation and youth detention, and working with them and teaching them industrial arts and leather working. And then I started working. And when my salary started to exceed his salary, he stopped working 2 of his jobs, but continued the teaching as my salary and my income, doubled and sometimes tripled my dad's income.
Yeah. Was that difficult for him to deal with, John?
I don't know.
I'm asking for a very specific reason. Danny Bonaducci was a friend of mine for
Good
a
man.
little while.
And we got to have our prayers go out to him.
Yeah, Danny needs a lot of prayer right now. He's dealing with some serious stuff. But Danny tells the story. In fact, he told it to me personally at my father's restaurant. That when his salary exceeded his father's, and his father was a television writer who apparently nobody could write better than Joe Bonaducci, evidently. So and to the point where he stopped looking for work. But Danny says that his father was jealous of the fact that Danny was making 4 or 5 times the amount of money he was making. And most of the time, Danny, and you realize this, you don't really have to break a sweat, especially if you're a child actor. There's, the constraints on you aren't really great. You can't do an awful lot. You've got to be schooled. You have to have a tutor on set. So it's not like they're, hitting you with these hot spots all day long and saying, mush, get it done, get it done. I know quite a bit about the business, enough to know that particularly when it comes to child actors, it's a very different animal. Yeah, John, your mic is muted.
Yeah.
There we go. I had to tell my buddy to take the meat out because the buzzer had rang. Anyway, oh gosh, that smells good.
It's almost time for dinner.
Anyway, my mother was the go-getter. She was the one who kept us going and was there all the time for me. But so my father continued his job, never missed a day.
Right.
But, as I started working and taking mom away from the kids, we got a helper. We never called her a maid. We never called her a nanny. She was a helper.
Mm-hmm.
And when my brother called her a maid, my mother swatted him on the bottom and said, "We don't have any maids here. She's one of us, and she's just helping me because I'm helping Johnny." So she didn't speak any English, Spanish only. And my father spoke fluent Spanish. So they had their conversations together. Anyway, I'm sure that there was some masculinity, emasculation that, but he never showed it. I mean, He was proud of me and glad that I was doing it, but he never wanted to interfere with the work.
Yeah.
He would have mom do it, and then, agents and managers and those people that were doing the work.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't regret any of my past, even some of the torrid past that I have, because it is made me who I am today.
Absolutely. Good for you.
And, although some of my actions were not as Christian and appropriate behaviors for the way that I was brought up and that I believe and that I attempt to follow as a good Christian, a follower of Jesus Christ today. But, 5 years ago and then 20 years before that, when I got into drugs, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on, I guess.
Sure.
But my father was a very good man, excellent provider, showed tender, loving care to my mother. And if we ever yelled at my mother, my dad would pick us up by the ear and say, "That's my sweetheart. You do not talk to her that way."
Mm-hmm.
And they showed affection openly, even sometimes with tongues, which got us all, But we knew that they were in love, and we knew that they were a couple and that they loved us.
Beautiful.
And, that was my father.
John, was there ever a time when you said to yourself, or maybe discussed with mom or dad or both, that, hey, I don't want to do this anymore? Maybe I just want to be like a normal person for a while?
What I remember before I did any show or series or movie,
right,
is, let's just say I go on an audition. Usually mom is there. I rehearse the lines or I practice whatever it is that I'm preparing for, doing for the scene. And when I finish, I come out and my mother says, "How do you think you did?" I think, "Oh, I did okay." She goes, "Well, if they don't hire you, it's their problem, not yours."
Confident mama.
Oh, yes.
And so, mom let me know that I was always the best kid there. And it didn't matter what happened, that if I didn't get the role, then, they didn't get the best kid. And I was the best kid for the role.
I should tell people that I'm holding in my hand a list of credits. These are Johnny Whitaker's television and film credits.
Yeah.
I've got 9 pages. I'm not even kidding. 9 pages. And you're going to actually see at the end of the show, I put a list of Johnny Whitaker's film and television credits. All right. It's a full minute long, going a mile a minute. You got to see this stuff. I crammed it all. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this. You've worked with some Hollywood heavyweights, some really important people. You mentioned Fred McMurray earlier. It is well known among people like myself that I consider myself a Hollywood historian, film historian. Fred McMurray didn't like kids. He didn't like children. You're laughing because you know what I'm talking about. You probably lived it.
Well, I never worked with Fred McMurray.
Okay.
They worked right next door in My Three Sons.
Mm-hmm.
And my only interaction with Fred McMurray was I came out of the stage 12 at Mary Tyler Moore Studios in Studio City.
Okay. Which
is now a different name, but it used to be MTM Studios. But 4024 Radford Avenue, CBS Studio Center.
Yes.
Anyway, don't know why I remember that so well. But I came out of the stage because I was hiccuping, and I couldn't stop hiccuping. And so I came out and I was, and Fred was out there smoking a cigar and said, "What's wrong, boy?" And I said, "I'm hiccuping, and I tried everything and I can't get rid of the hiccups." And he goes, "Hold on right there. Hold on just one moment." He ran into the studio, or into the stage, which was stage 10, I think, and came out with a little cup of water. He says, "Now, drink out of the wrong side of the cup." And I said, "What?" So, here's a cup, and you would drink out of this side like that. He says, "No, drink out of the other side of the cup." And so I went, and you have to bend over all of the way.
Yes.
But in doing that and sucking it up, somehow it reverses the hiccup action.
It sure hell does.
And
yes, it works. Don't ask me
immediately.
How
Immediately for me. And, he said, "Well, that's just a little New York theater trick we learned, and that's my Fred McMurray story."
Remarkable. A lot of actors we speak to here on the show, particularly people that worked as child actors, they have their favorite and least favorite personality. Somebody they loved working with and someone they'll never want to work with again. Let's do both of those. Who is the one that you would love to work with every day?
Brian Keith. And I did 3 months out of the year. Just going down the list in my head. I mean, I didn't have anybody that I wouldn't like to work with on a regular basis.
Really?
Will Gear was fun to work with, and after I worked with him, he became the grandpa on the Waltons.
Walton, sure, yeah.
And he played my grandpa in a Disney movie called Napoleon and Samantha.
Yep, I know that one as well.
And Jodie Foster was lots of fun.
Your first screen kiss.
Her first screen kiss.
Her first screen kiss. Oh, yeah. Yours was actually on Family Affair.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about that, too. Yeah. Jodie Foster's first screen kiss was Johnny Whitaker. How about that shit?
Right. And then she goes gay.
Yeah.
Not my fault.
Well, you know what? People are going to talk now. People are going to talk now. Amelia Chapman. It's an hour into the show and you haven't gotten a question in yet. Well, guess what?
What?
We're flipping the script on you. You're up.
As he was saying, about people that you like to work with and everything, I noticed that you also had an episode on Bewitched. How was Elizabeth Montgomery to work with?
That was somebody else that I would love to work with.
She was one of my favorites.
But
she was a wonderful woman.
Mad Dog, you and I are in the same age range. Growing up, there was Bewitched.
Yes.
And there was I Dream of Jeannie.
Absolutely.
And there was Gilligan's Island.
Yep.
And those were all the girls that we all wanted to, be with.
Oh, sure. And Dawn Wells and Bob Denver were friends of mine.
Dawn was a beautiful
may they
person.
both rest in peace.
Yes. But anyway, so I, of course, was enamored by Elizabeth Montgomery.
Who wasn't? She was
and when I found out that I was going to play a role on Bewitched, and now I'm going to get to see how the magic is done.
Yeah,
because
you think?
because in Family Affair we didn't have much magic except that the back lot at 4024 Radford was Spain, Italy, Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Where else did we go? Tahiti.
Yeah.
So
It became whatever country they needed it to be.
Right.
And so
Exactly.
that's what was the magic to us, where we were in a different country, but we were still in Studio City, California.
Sure.
But I got on the set and I was nervous as heck, and I'm usually not nervous on the set. Okay. But here I am with my star,
Absolutely.
Elizabeth Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the brand new Darren.
Oh, yeah. Dick Sargent.
Yes.
Dick York had been ill and left the show. And so Dick Sargent came on as the new Darren.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth was pregnant. And I think she had already had her son, but she was playing in pregnant clothes.
Yeah.
But they were doing the episodes where she was pregnant.
Sure.
Anyway, and so I am on the set, and the first scene they're doing some magic, and they say freeze, everybody freezes, and somebody goes in and pops in or pops out or something pops in, and I go, that's how they do it,
Mm-hmm.
And then they say, okay, and action, and so then they continue the scene. Anyway, I was enamored by her, and I only had a couple of scenes with her, but she's another one I would love to have worked with more regularly.
I would have gave a year's salary just to see Barbara Eden's belly button. No, but did you ever notice when I Dream of Jeannie, they never showed her navel? Never. That was considered obscene, Amelia, back in the day.
Oh, yes, it was. Exactly.
Oh my God, the TV censors would go crazy.
Yes.
Oh my, they'd be rolling over in their graves now.
She made up for it in the movie Harper Valley PTA, though.
Let's talk about that, John. What do you think of television today?
Well, when you and I were growing up, we had 3 stations.
Yeah.
ABC,
NBC.
CBS, and NBC.
Yep, that was it.
Yep.
Now, in some markets, you might have a local station, and in some areas, you might have a PBS station, but you had to have rabbit ears.
Yes.
To get
them. Right.
We had them.
Right. So you had the UHF so that you could get that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Then television and streaming television kind of exploded. And we had, of course, Fox and Warner and all of these others that grew.
Yeah.
So there was a lot more content that was available.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Not all of it good.
Yeah, true enough. Yeah.
But nowadays with streaming, as I'm sure you've noticed and you've recognized, that there are literally tens of thousands of channels that we can go to and see. Unfortunately, there are not tens of thousands of channels we can go to for positive, good television viewing.
I say that 1,000 channels and nothing to watch.
Nothing to watch.
Nothing wholesome, nothing entertaining. Reality television isn't even reality television. It's scripted. Got news for you folks. If you think that any of those shows are reality, there's a writer back in some room somewhere writing this mess.
Yes.
That ought to tell you all you need to know. John, and you at some point you decide in your journey that you're going to slow down the acting a little bit, and you're going to take on a more positive, um, a more insightful role, helping people. You decide maybe I'm going to invest some of my time and my life experience in trying to make things a little better for folks. When did you get involved? How and when did you get involved in working with alcohol and drug abusing people?
Well, we have to go back to Anissa Jones.
Okay. I kind of figured, John, that might have been the catalyst.
Summer of 1976 was kind of the pinnacle of my career.
Yeah.
Where I was doing the Johnny Whitaker show and was pretty much a household name.
Right. Well, you were, absolutely.
Yes.
I heard Rona Barrett say Mary Anissa Jones, Buffy, died of an overdose. I immediately, like I said before, called Les Kaufman, got a hold of him. And unfortunately, Anissa, the coroner there at Oceanside, where she lived, or where she was partying, she actually lived still in Los Angeles, in Playa del Rey. But the medical examiner said he'd never seen that amount of drugs non-ingested in a human being before. He said that there was almost a baseball size of pills that were in her stomach.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's documented too, by the way. So I'm going to just give everybody kind of a little, right where you are, I'm going to give everybody kind of a little a synopsis of what John's talking about. Anissa's, actually it's Anissa's drug problem continued to escalate to the point that she was taking large amounts of Quaaludes, angel dust, coke, barbiturates, liquor, and marijuana. Buffy's life was on a one-track road to hell, and Uncle Bill, Jody, Sissy, and Mr. French were unable to pull her out. On August 28, 1976, while attending a party at her friend Helen's house in Oceanside, Anissa would take one of her healthy doses of barbs, phenycycline, coke, and methaqualone, and her boyfriend claims to have checked on her, which they later found out he was lying his ass off, said she was fine, and she wasn't. An hour later, her friends would find her dead. After putting her clothes on her, they called the paramedics. It was too late. She was declared dead from what the coroner would say was one of the most massive overdoses he'd ever seen. She was just 18 years of age. John, too much money, too much time, too much fame. What was it too much of, my friend?
Well, she had mom. Unfortunately, both. Means, opportunity, and motive.
Yeah.
MOM. She also had a mother that in the past, she depended entirely upon Anissa's income for their income.
Right.
And for that reason, when she stopped working, of course, she was not very happy. And Anissa had chosen not to work anymore. But she went on to the wrong crowd. But so that was kind of a turning point. I had chosen to stop working, but my agent didn't stop submitting me. I still did another pilot episode for a series called Mulligan Stew.
I remember it.
And I played the oldest boy, and I had a cousin who was older than I was. And it was kind of a family affair, mixed family with my parents.
Mm-hmm.
Eleanor Donahue played the mother.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I then went back to high school. I was on the cheer team. One of my girlfriends was a cheerleader and wanted me to be her guy cheer that would lift her up and throw her up and around. And so I did that and took some gymnastics classes, thinking I might be Russ Tamblyn or something like that. But that didn't work out necessarily. But I then went to college, and while in college, I was given an opportunity to talk to my bishop, which is my ecclesiastical leader, and all young men in the LDS church at the age of 18 prepare for a mission by the time that they're 19.
Right.
And so 1979 to 81, I served a mission for the LDS Mormon Church in Portugal. And that was a beautiful experience. I still speak Portuguese today, é verdade. Eu posso falar português sem qualquer dúvida.
And then
but I came home from my mission, married a beautiful model. 4 years into the marriage, she divorced me to marry the man who gave me my bachelor party.
Ouch.
I
That
had
hurt.
a girlfriend who had a 4.5-year-old daughter who wanted to play ball while I was raking in the backyard. And so I hopped the fence and asked her mother if we could play. And she said, no, not unless she could play along with us. So the three of us played. And that was in June. And in July, August, and September, we became kind of a couple. September, she called me because I was in Los Angeles and she was in Utah and said that she was pregnant. I immediately got, on the phone.
Yeah, sure.
I may have been in lust with her, but I told her that I was in love with her and that I loved her daughter and that the girls and I would be a family. And she goes, I don't love you and I don't want to have your baby.
Oh, there's a brutal wake up. She's saying this with some conviction, evidently.
Oh, yeah. Now, her child, that was the 4.5-year-old, was the product of a gang rape when she was in a bar.
Yeah, gotcha.
But she chose to keep the baby, and I applauded her for that. But now they were in a relationship where it was, semi-positive, I thought, It was not forced sexual encounter that I believed. And I believe both of us liked what was going on.
Sure.
And she says, well, I'm not going to have an abortion.
Right.
But once the baby's born, I'm going to give it up for adoption. I said, well, fine, you can give it to me and I will raise the child. No, I don't want that.
Wow.
And your hormones are raging. Things are crazy.
Yeah.
And so I tried to get in touch with her a couple of weeks later. It was October. She wouldn't answer the phone. I tried her a couple of days later. She wouldn't answer the phone. I contacted her mother, who three-wayed me in with her.
Sure.
And I said, look, I'm just here to help you. I love you. You're going to have my baby. I want us to be copacetic together, co-parenting, whatever it is that,
It sounds like you're doing everything above board. You're saying the right things. You're projecting positivity at every turn. But this woman appears to be like sadomasochistic in her head.
She said, you're making it too easy.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
You're trying to be a good dad. Yeah.
What the hell does that mean?
I'm trying to be a good human and a
good you're stepping
dad.
up.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, October 31st, her mother calls me up because she had just been informed by the police that neighbors had thought that it was strange that in the morning of Halloween, there was a dead body hanging from the second story of her apartment building.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, my God.
And it was her, that she had jumped off and killed herself along with my child.
Oh, dear.
The baby was taken into custody by her mother and later adopted by her brother. Oh. But that's strike two in my spiritual situation. As we go along,
brother, it's a wonder you're not an atheist now.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that's what happened. I went to atheism.
Oh,
I said,
I was going to say,
don't believe in God. I'm going to the dark side.
Yeah.
So I chose the dark side, and I started going to bars, started hanging out with lesser companions.
Sure.
And people who were drinking and using on a normal basis.
Yeah.
And it just became a part of my life.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that happened, you'll have to read the book. I don't want to give it too much away.
No, don't tip the hat.
I'll
tell you what, I want to say it right now, and I want everybody here listening. I got witnesses. When this book is ready and it hits the shelf, your ass is coming right back here, son.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We're going to have another conversation.
Yes.
Continue.
So 10 years later, I have lost 2 jobs, 2 apartments, 2 cars, and I'm getting ready to be evicted from another one. And my mother, brother, and sisters get together and have an intervention and say, you got to get straight.
Yeah.
And I say no. And they say, if you don't, you won't ever see your 2, 3, and 4-year-old nephews until you get clean and sober. And they were my life. They were, they were my life.
Yeah.
So I decided I would go into therapy and into treatment.
Right.
3 years later, I was not working, and a friend of mine said, well, you need to go back to school. I said, school? What for? I want to be an actor, a producer. He says, how's that working out for you? And I said, well, not so good. And he said, go and be a drug and alcohol counselor. So I took one class, fell in love with he was a man, but I fell in love with his manner of teaching, his mannerisms.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
And signed up for 3 more classes, and then got my certification as a certified alcohol and drug counselor.
Yep.
Or certified addiction treatment counselor.
Yep.
And as I finished that, started working in the field and realized that I had a calling.
Yes.
But one thing I just want to go back to, we were talking about, some of this mental health with kids growing up in movies.
Sure.
Television.
It's critical that we discuss it. Absolutely.
5 ages of adolescence is something that is supposed to be done by the time that you complete puberty. And those 5 stages are as follows. 1, find your peer group. You find the group of friends that are like-minded, that, you like to hang with.
Mm-hmm.
You find a career path. What are your likes and passions?
Yeah.
And what are your educational needs and wants?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then you find your life's moral compass.
There you go.
What is the way in which you're going to live your life? Religious or spiritual belief structure? Are you conservative or a liberal? What ideas do you follow?
Mm-hmm.
And then fourth, finding your sexual identity. Recognizing that you are gay, straight, bisexual, a womanizer.
Mm-hmm.
Also your beliefs in a family life, if you want to have children or not, and how many children,
right,
and what that might look like. And that's part of your sexual identity.
Yeah.
And then the last is rebellion against authority.
Absolutely.
Now, those are the 5 stages of adolescence, or tasks, I guess, is a better word for it. Because it's not stages, they're tasks. But when you look at that, a peer group, when you're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, is forced upon you.
Sure.
And most of them are 10, 20, 30 years older than you.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
But that's your peer group.
Sure.
You have a career path already made for you.
Absolutely. Of course.
Yeah.
So you don't have a chance to choose or find a career path.
And that was what I alluded to you earlier. You don't have a choice. You become an actor. Okay, so I'm an actor now. That's what I'm going to do. I'm with no say in it.
Yes.
Let me tell people that John Whitaker worked as a mental health counselor at the Center for Counseling and Education. He has been a member of the board of directors at Alcohol Justice, the LA director of A New Path, Parents for Addiction Treatment and Healing, and the High Road program, which is Cocaine Anonymous World Service Office in Southern California, among other things. At the end of the show, you will see a list of John's credits. John, you have also been involved heavily with a spiritual movement. I want to talk a little bit about, because often these rehabilitation programs often have a spiritual element to them. Is it important, in your opinion, to pair a person with a belief system? Is that part of the healing process? Is it necessarily part, or is it critical a part?
In the 20 years plus that I've been working as a certified addiction treatment counselor, I believe, and I've been taught, and I follow the philosophy that there are 4 parts of our being: body, mind, emotions, and spirit.
Absolutely.
Now, each of those need to be equally parsed in our lives, or as best we can.
Yeah.
And sometimes when one gets a little out of whack, we need to push it over and move some of the others so that they kind of match up.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying a religious component, but a spiritual component is extremely necessary.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay.
And my first sponsor in the 12-step programs, you have a guide or a helper. His name was Steve Everingham. And Steve is no longer with us. He died of the effects of HIV and AIDS.
Okay.
And he was openly a gay man.
Okay. Nothing wrong with gay.
I was an atheist at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, John, I am a gay man who has HIV AIDS. And I don't know what this higher power business is, but I will tell you that whatever it is works for me. I said, well, I grew up in a Mormon family, and I don't want anything to do with drugs or with God.
Yeah.
He says, well, do you want to deal with drugs on your own? I said, well, that's what I'm trying to do. He says, well, let me just give you a scenario. Let's go back. At the time, I had about 6-9 months clean and sober.
Right.
9 months ago. And I invite you to my place. And I've got every drug imaginable available here. And I say, I want you to enjoy watching the movie or whatever it is we're going to do. But I've got to go take care of some business. But don't start partying without me.
Yeah, right.
Well, he said, how long would it take you once I leave the room to go up and get that drug or drink or whatever it is? I said, before the door hits you in the butt, I'm up there getting my stash.
Exactly.
And he says, well, that means that inanimate object has a power greater than you.
Exactly.
Yes.
So you have to find a power greater than that substance. And he says, I don't know what this entity is, but I pray to God every night and every morning. And it's a simple prayer. And it's a heartfelt prayer.
Mm-hmm.
I try to, in the morning, God, keep me sober. God, help me to get through the day without hurting anybody. Help me to be of service to my fellow beings. And, bless me that I can be successful in my endeavors.
Absolutely.
And that's basically was his prayer. And at night, he would say, God, I'm going to go through a list in my head of the things that I've done wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And forgive me of those things. And if I've hurt anybody, especially make me remember those so that I can make amends to them so that I can sleep well tonight.
Absolutely.
And, in your grace. And that was the prayer. And so I learned that. So, I didn't have a God. And so I just said, Steve's God, give me strength to stay sober.
Yes.
There you go.
And
I love it. I
stayed sober with Steve's God.
There you go.
Yeah.
Then 4 years into my recovery, my mother is now the adult music coordinator for her congregation. And it is Easter, and Mom says, I want the boys and girls to sing for my Easter celebration.
Right.
And my brother and I were both not very active. My sisters were.
Sure.
And we would go ahead and sing. Mom wants it. We're happy to do it. So we're singing these Christian hymns of the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
Sure.
And I'm singing it, got the words down, got my tenor part beautifully done, and getting ready to sing and go up to the pulpit when the bishop pulls me aside, and I had lost my power of the priesthood when you are in the LDS church, and I had been excommunicated. So, but I didn't want anything to do with God.
Right.
And the bishop asked me, says, John, I really appreciate the work that you and your brother and sisters have done to be here with us. But in all good conscience, I know that you have gone through some tough times. And I just want to know that you hold Christ in your heart and that you believe in this resurrection of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I thought to myself, excuse the language, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly.
He's telling me that now I'm not going to go up there on the stand, and I'm the only one that he's asking.
Yeah.
And in good 12-step belief, because I believe in being honest.
Sure.
Or we try to be as honest as possible.
Yeah, well, we're going to address that subject in a minute.
I say, I get ready to open my mouth and say, go screw yourself.
Yeah.
And as I open my mouth, I feel this tap on my shoulder. I look around and there's nobody there.
Exactly.
God's Spirit comes over me, and Jesus says to me, John, you know who I am.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know you love me.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to know how much I love you. And I'm waiting for you. Get up there and sing like you've never sung before.
Yeah.
And so I caught my breath and I told the bishop, yes, Bishop, I do believe. Yes, Jesus is my Lord and Savior. And he did rise. And yes, absolutely. Because, you know, this all happened in the matter of 3 seconds.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
Right.
So I get up there and I sing and everything is beautiful. And I come down, you know, we finish and everybody's crying and saying it was beautiful. We felt the Spirit.
Yeah.
It was so lovely. And I go home and I call Steve and I say, Steve, guess what? I'm Christian. And he says, bullshit, you're Christian. And I said, what? How can you, a gay, AIDS-laden man, tell me I'm not a Christian? He says, John, Christians do certain things and you're not doing any of them. Now, you can believe in God and you can believe in whatever God you choose.
Absolutely.
Well, you're going to call yourself a Christian. You're going to be a Christian.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The moral of the story is you can bullshit yourself,
Right.
but you're not going to bullshit God.
Nope.
Absolutely not.
So that was a 20-year process.
Right.
That brought me to being able to be rebaptized in the LDS church, receive all of my blessings back in full-fledged. Good. And, you know, I don't hold any scorn or remorse toward the LDS church for their actions. I played against the rules and I did things that were non-Mormon.
Right.
And, you know, I accepted that, but it also let me go hog wild, which I did.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, every organized religion has its detriments and its assimilations. We all have to understand what our limits, though, are, what we are willing to deal with spiritually, what we're not willing to deal with spiritually, and akin ourselves to an organization or a belief system that works for us. That's why there are so many, religiosity is all around us. In this day and age, in 2023, it's at an epic height. You've got all of this darkness around us. Well, darkness is only dispelled by the light. And there's an awful lot of light right now. John, I want to talk about, you mentioned a word there, forgiveness. I want to take a look. I want everyone to take a look at a real moment between yourself and Kathy Garver. And then let's talk about this after the clip.
I'm here because I know that there might have been some bad blood between us.
Oh.
And wanted to apologize if there was anything that I've done to cause you to have feelings.
If you had, at any time, in all of the gigs that I set you up for, called me and said, thank you. That would have been very nice.
Nothing was done to hurt you specifically. If it has hurt you, then I'm truly apologetic.
I accept your apology, and I think that is very good.
I want us to be friends. I want the future to be as positive as possible. Heck, we got 50 years together.
I'm 39 myself.
Absolutely.
Okay.
John, what just happened?
Kathy, who was my sister in Family Affair, and we spent 5 seasons, 5 years basically together. And I thought we were friends. And I truly understand, to an extent, the pain that she may have gone through, and the fact that 80% of the gigs that she got for me, I never asked for. I was never contacted by her. I was contacted by the producers, or those individuals who then contacted me.
I know that to be true, by the way. We invited Kathy Garver on the show. She declined to be here
today.
We invited her a week ago.
Oh, okay.
Knowing that you were going to be on today. Let me tell everybody, from an outsider's perspective, we do painstaking research on this show.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure that I had my I's dotted and my T's crossed before I played that clip. I will tell you that I absolutely believe you. I will tell you that watching that clip was disturbing to me the first time, and it was disturbing to me this very last time, and that's the last time I'll watch it. It bothered me that I could see in her mannerism. I read people's body language.
Yes,
I'm very good at it. And I could hear the tonality in her voice. And I don't believe, not calling her a liar, I will say I detect a layer of untruth there.
I kind of felt that myself when I saw it just for the first time.
And I will tell you, you were incredibly uncomfortable. You looked like you didn't know what to say or what to do. I noticed, though, it was a hug coming in the door and a handshake going out the door. Why the change of energy from her? What happened in that house?
Well, that actual scene was take 2.
Okay.
Oh.
And that should be telling in and of itself.
This was for an Oprah Winfrey special for her channel. Where Are They Now? And it was highlighting Kathy, which was a beautiful thing. And she was, the star of it. Now, they contacted me and asked me if I would surprise her. They would fly me to San Francisco, where she was living at the time.
Right.
And I just said, well, I don't think I would be a pleasant surprise for her.
It appeared that way.
Yeah.
And, it would be on her turf, but I do not believe that it would be a positive situation. They go, oh, well, why not? And I had explained that there was bad blood, that we do autograph shows, Comic Cons, and things like that.
Sure.
Kathy refuses to take a picture with me.
Right.
Even after the 50th anniversary of Family Affair came out.
Yep.
I
know that to be true.
She refuses to, we do a show together in Kanab, Utah. I did a 2-episode of Gunsmoke there. And so I'm welcome there as a guest for their Pioneer Cowboy Days.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a beautiful few days where you get to see horses and cattle running down the middle of the street, and kind of cool.
Right.
And it's an autograph show.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, the producer of the autograph show said, oh, well, Kathy's here, so I'm sure she'll love to sit with you.
Yeah.
And I said, I have absolutely nothing against Kathy.
Yeah.
I wish her the best. I want only the best for her. But I do not believe that she will want to sit with me. Please ask her. Because if that has changed, I am first to be on the bandwagon with her.
Yeah.
But if that has not changed, then I don't believe that you're going to get a positive response.
Right.
When I went, she was, hello, John.
Yeah.
And the next year was COVID, so we didn't have it. But last year we had 2 years ago we had it, and there was a whole bunch of us who were getting a picture of all the people who were in the room.
Sure.
She refused to get a picture with all of us, and her being on one side and I being on the other, because I was in the photo. I do not know why she did not want to get into the photo, but I made a supposition, which is wrong. I should not make a supposition. But
well, I mean, given the circumstances, I would have made the same supposition.
Well, again, I'm not inside of her head, so I can't say why she chose not to. But she didn't.
Yeah.
And so they took another picture without me in the group, with her in the group.
Yeah.
And that happened almost 5 years ago.
Yeah.
5 or 6 years ago. I don't know exactly the date.
Yeah, and the relationship is still extraordinarily strained.
Extraordinarily strained.
Yeah. And I've spoken to people in preparation for this interview with you, and they can't explain to me, and I suppose, trying to explain to you would be, I don't know. They can't explain to me her reasoning for the distance between you. This incredible tension that exists. You're saying that was take 2. That looked increasingly uncomfortable the more you stayed there. And if that was take 2, I'd have loved to see what take 1 looked like.
Yep.
Well, what happened is I was in the limousine waiting to, and they had 2 cameras on her and following her as, she was doing something.
Yeah, sure.
And then the idea was that I would be knocking at the door. So they said, okay, Johnny, it's time for you. And they had 2 cameras on me, bringing me to the door. I knock on the door. And of course, on the other side, oh, who could it be?
Yeah,
and
sure.
So she opens the door and it's me.
Right. Yeah.
Johnny Whitaker.
Yeah.
How are you? Oh. And I said, well, I'm fine. Now, she does not invite me into the house.
Right. I heard that.
The crew kind of pushes me into the house.
I heard that too.
So I am pushed into the house.
Oh, it was a mess, Amelia.
Oh my gosh.
And I say, okay, Kathy, there are sins of commission and sins of omission.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that I may have caused both.
Okay.
But in my heart, nothing I did was out of spite. It was out of ignorance. Right. And she goes, well, if you really want to know. And she went down a list of about 20 things.
Wow.
And I said, cut.
Yeah.
This isn't making her look good. This is not making me look good. I think we need to take a break. And I would really like that we take a break. And so we broke and they talked with her, I guess. And then they talked with me and they said, well, you know, we'd like to do a take 2 on this. Is it possible? And I said, hey, anything is possible, you know, but I just want to let you know, I warned you about this. And so then I come in and we do take 2 and you saw what take 2 was. You know, almost.
I've got a question for you though.
Sure.
Knowing that you guys did multiple takes, and I knew that going into this interview, both of you are actors. Why didn't you just act? Both of you. Why the hell didn't you just act? Oh, how you doing, sweetie? Love, 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 love. Kissy, kissy. It's wonderful to see you. Be well. See you later. Bye. The clip said that Johnny had something on his chest to get off. And that's what it said. And then that was this confession that you were sorry and you were you were apologetic for if you had mistreated her or you said something
earlier, about 2 years earlier.
Right.
Kathy had gotten, she and I, the gig, bringing the trophies out at the
TV Land
Land Awards.
Yeah, I know about that.
And I know for sure that she got that gig for us. And backstage, while we were resting by the awards, I just said, Kathy, this has been one of the most beautiful nights of my life. And I know that it is all due to you. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this. Well, finally.
Oh,
wow.
Really? I got you. Okay. She was looking for her, pat on the back. You're a wonderful person. Thank you. Kissy, kissing. So she's one of those people that has to be praised for doing something good.
Well, and God bless her. She can have all the praise and all the accolades she wants, but she doesn't even have to like me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole idea
for our fans' sake, we need to be cordial to each other.
Exactly. Sure.
And be able to thank you very much,
Sure.
And I harbor no ill feelings toward her. I'm sorry for her that she cannot forgive and forget. I thought that she may be Christian, but maybe that's a different.
She looks like and sounds like, and forgive me for saying this, John, but she looks and sounds like a bitter old woman. When you do something good for someone, you should do it out of the kindness of your heart, expecting nothing in return.
Exactly.
That's why me and I do good things for people all the time on this show.
Oh, absolutely.
Sometimes we don't even tell them it's from us.
No.
We do things anonymously.
And I could tell that was the way you apologized to her and the way you, even it was take two, just the look in your eyes.
Thing
was
looked
so
disingenuine. It looked like a put on, especially in her part.
Well,
but you sincerely, John.
Sincere and heartfelt. I mean, from you. You were about to it's just like so sad from you. It's like heartfelt. Like you meant it from the inner of your soul. You know what I mean?
I love Kathy. I still love her. I care for her. Unfortunately, she just gave an interview shortly where she called me addicted to religion.
I heard that.
Yeah.
And if that's what I'm addicted to,
God bless you and good for you, brother.
Yeah. I believe that I take my faith seriously.
Yes.
And I take my Christianity seriously.
Good for you.
Yes, absolutely.
And, I was not about to return to the LDS church until I could stay celibate for a year.
Yeah.
That was one of my most difficult parts, because in the LDS church, you do not have any sexual relations with anyone unless you are legally and lawfully married to that person.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is correct.
Yep.
And I was not a choir boy for the last 25 years.
Right. Well, a lot of that, the business that you're in lends to that, quite frankly.
Well, and I've taken advantage and had people take advantage of me. But they say that, you can't rape the willing.
Exactly.
No, it's the truth. I've heard that.
I've heard an old expression, but it's absolutely true.
I've heard that. Trust me.
Let me tell people a little bit about Johnny. Johnny is among the listing, and I'm going to show you. Let's put it up here on the Chiron. John was also the president of Paso por Paso, Step by Step, in the Los Angeles area, John, or Santa Clarita. Okay. John's also a special former projects manager at the Cocaine Anonymous World Service Office. That's Coke Anonymous. And I think that's I'm wanting to say, I believe near San Diego.
Well, the headquarters are currently in Long Beach, California.
Long Beach. Okay. Gotcha.
But it looks like they may be moving to either Arizona or Texas, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
But yes, for 1 year, I was a special projects manager. I speak 5 languages fluently.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with English, John.
and that's okay. Pasta fazool.
Look, I'm Italian. I'm from South Philly. What can I tell you? John is also the former intake co-coordinator of Patient Tech, the 12-step weekend counselor at Canyon at Peace Park. Where's Peace Park? Is that in Southern California as well?
Well, the Canyon is a very elite rehab center in Malibu.
Okay, so it's big money.
Like $70,000 per month.
Whoa! Hello there. So they got all kinds of celebrities hanging out this joint.
He's not going to tell
right?
Yet.
Well-known. John is a well-known staple at Walt Disney Studios. He played, of course, Jody on everybody knows now, Family Affair from 1966 to 1971. That, of course, is not the first time that John would work for Don Featherston Productions. You worked for Don Featherston Productions 2 or 3 times, did you not? You did a film for
not Don Featherston. Not Don Featherston. We did Family Affair, and then we did an off-take of Family Affair called To Rome with Love.
Oh, To Rome with Love. That was Don's other show. Okay.
And we did 2 episodes of that, which was kind of we went to Rome.
Buffy. I mean, you played Jody on that, right?
Right.
Got it. Okay. Because I know that you did the Jody Davis character was a 2-show character. I couldn't remember what the other show was, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay. And you also studied communications with an emphasis on film and TV at Brigham Young in Utah. Give me a little heads up, John, about the educational system there at Brigham Young. It's a Mormon university in Utah, one of the oldest, I believe, the oldest in the state of Utah, as a matter of fact. What did they teach you that you couldn't learn anywhere else, particularly with television and film?
Well, unfortunately, Brigham Young University, all the good Mormons go to BYU. And it was my hope that going to BYU, I could learn from the professors there, but I could also give back my 14 years of experience as a person in television and film. And before I went on my mission,
right,
I wanted to, because of my love of languages, I wanted to be an international translator or international business person.
Yeah, true.
So I took a Russian class, and I went to Serbia, and all these different things that were there.
Sure.
When I returned from my mission, I believed that my plan was to my uncle, or my second cousin once removed, the Brigham Young University film department and the film studio is named after my second cousin, who is Wetzel O. Whitaker.
Okay.
And he worked with Disney on, I think, The Jungle Book and Cinderella and different, Disney things. And then the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints asked him to come to Provo and teach them and do films for the church.
Yeah.
And I was in one of them that he directed.
Yep.
And, I had a good time. And then when it came time to come back from my mission, I thought, well, maybe I could work with the church, work there.
Yeah.
And bring the name Whitaker back into, not as the lead, not as anything important, but just kind of work my way up. And at the time, my wife and I were going through some difficult financial times.
Right.
And I went to the Bonneville International, which is the film and TV arm of the LDS Church. And I just said, I've graduated. I'm here. I, would like to start working with you. And they said, thank you, and never called me.
Oh, man.
Oh.
Wow. Amelia, would you like to see some of Johnny Whitaker's credits?
I would love to.
John, would you like to see some of your credits?
Sure.
Take a look at this.
There we go.
Wow.
By the way, you see how fast this is going? I had to cram this into a minute. Let's continue.
My goodness.
Yeah, watch it. A lot of stuff, man. That is heads up. You almost just saw it again.
Oh.
That was 64 on-screen credits.
Wow.
64 on-screen credits. Are you aware of that, John?
I've never counted them, but thanks for the
It's a
number.
lot.
Now I can.
Yeah, 64 on-screen credits. That's nuts. That's crazy. John, are you familiar with the movie being planned for Anissa Jones called Finding Anissa Jones?
No.
Let me show you a little clip. I think you'll find this interesting.
She had a light in her.
Did you know my mom's friend Anissa pretty well?
It's a documentary film.
But like back in the 70s.
Stories that blow your mind. She lived it all the way. Oh, time to let it go.
You know what scares me the most?
What's that?
She's just gonna fade away.
The idea behind this film is the woman depicted, there's her and her son. She knew Anissa when they were 17, 18 years old. And she was with her the night of the fateful party. She wanted to trace back that night and find where they both wrote their names in the sidewalk, where they had buried a lunchbox with kind of like a time capsule. And it's her journey of, and I hate this word, but it's her way of gaining closure. You know, some people have to have that closure.
Yeah.
I don't understand closure because nothing's ever really closed. You just find different ways of dealing with stuff. Well, I was curious as to whether or not you'd ever seen it or were even aware of it.
I was not. Is that available online or?
It will be available, as I understand, on DVD and in selected theaters. But it'll probably go straight to some online stream service. It'll probably be available on Amazon, Netflix, Tubi TV, and any numbers. Well, I mean, we're available on Tubi TV as well.
Yeah.
And I want to welcome. I have to welcome another. We have another. Amelia, I forgot to tell you. I wanted to do this at the beginning of the show, but I just wanted to get John here first.
Yes, absolutely.
We want to welcome a new sponsor, not a sponsor, a new radio station joined us. I would love to have a new sponsor, but a new radio station joined us from Berlin, Germany.
Germany?
Yes, Germany. Berlin, I'm sorry, not Berlin, Stuttgart, Germany. I say Berlin because there's a town right next to me called Berlin. Stuttgart. And we'll be hearing more about that station next show.
Oh, welcome to
I want to welcome them, and they're sending us. Thank you. We're right now, John, we are on almost 3,000 radio and podcast platforms worldwide. And we're this close to hitting the 11 million mark in our listeners. Thank you, my brother. Thank you so much. We're doing it, and we're doing it right. We have to do it right because we talk about people's lives.
Yes.
You know, we talk about the impact that people have had on our lives, on people like you who affect masses of people. People don't understand this. And I'm going to take the time to address this for a minute. People don't understand something. This man's not just an actor, okay? He was part of the fabric of my childhood. We're the same age. I'm actually 6 months older than John.
Yeah, you're older.
Yeah. Scary thought, ain't it, bro? Scary thought. But here's the thing, though. Were it, not for some divine intervention, I too could have had, the roller coaster life that John Whitaker had. I was very fortunate. I didn't have that roller coaster life. Mine was steady as she goes. But to bring me the happiness that I had as a child, that man that I'm looking at right now had to endure some misery in his life. And now it's time for us to say to you, John Whitaker, thank you for all you've done for us.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. I appreciate it as a fan, as a contemporary of yours. And I appreciate it as someone who is your elder by 6 months. We are going to let you go. I want you to come back again.
Yes.
Can you come back with us?
Anytime.
John, I left my phone number in this little private chat here.
I see that.
Okay. I want you to jot that down. If you ever need us for anything, let me know, and I'll be happy to do anything I can for you.
Because I want you to come back and discuss what you're doing now, because that's what kind of field I'm into as well, because that's what I work with as my profession.
Yeah, Amelia works in the medical profession.
The only thing I want, if I could leave with one thing.
Yes, sir. Anything
people who are addicts and alcoholics.
Yes.
There's 4 ways you can be an addict and an alcoholic. Mm-hmm. 1 is your environment that you grew up in.
Yeah.
2 is your family history. I'm Irish, got thousands of years of Irish whiskey in my DNA.
Mm-hmm.
3 is trauma. When someone goes through trauma, the likelihood of them going to drugs or alcohol is so much greater.
Absolutely.
And the 4th is feelings of not being a part of.
Hey, oh boy.
Oh, yes.
Oh, where did we hear that?
If we can just do our best to take those individuals who are hurting, they're using drugs because they work.
Yeah.
They take the pain away.
Sometimes too well.
Yes.
And they need that just like they need oxygen. And
Absolutely.
if you can help them understand, and be a listening ear, be a friend, not judge them, but let them know that you're not going to expect or accept illegal or inappropriate behavior, but that you are there when they need you, not for money, but for support and love. That's the most important thing that a person who is in addiction, in the grips of addiction, needs to know.
Right.
Absolutely. And we also want to tell people we got some phone numbers for you. If you are in need of help, the National Substance Abuse Helpline is 1-800-622-HELP. That's 1-662-662-HELP, and that is 800-662-4357. AA, and there's an AA chapter within driving distance of most people. Alcoholics Anonymous is 1-800-839-1686. Again, 1-800-839-1686 for AA. Coke Anonymous is, or CALSO as it's been called, Cocaine Anonymous World Service Office is 310. It's a California number. 310-559-5833. Again, 310-559-5833. And of course, finally, Narcanon. Narcotics Anonymous is 818-773-9999. That's 818-773-9999. Those numbers are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They never close.
You can also go to na.org, ca.org, and aa.org, and you can get all of that information in your local areas within wherever you are in the world, even in Stuttgart, Germany.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, we will definitely bring John Whitaker back. But in the meantime, Amelia, what's coming up next week on What's the Buzz, America's Best Popcast?
June 19th and 20th, which will be Monday and Tuesday of next week, we have the Savannah Paranormal Group coming to visit us.
Savannah Paranormal from Savannah, Georgia, joins us for not one, but 2 nights. 2 nights, a double header, Amelia. We got some work cut out for us.
Oh, yes, we do. The spookies coming to visit.
And the week after that, the week of the 26th and 27th, not one, but 2 of the country's best psychics. We've got Psychic Valentina and Psychic Tara.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to find out. Let's see how good they really are.
Right.
When we put them to the test. But until next time, for Johnny Whitaker, for Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman, I'm the Mad Dog, Angelo DeCipio, saying goodbye. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next time, folks.
Have a great weekend, everyone.